Chapter 16. Appeal. As I end this book, let me take the opportunity to make some appeals, as well as share personal expressions of gratitude. To my fellow Tibetans, never lose hope, however dark the sky may become. As our saying goes, if you fall 9 times, you get up 9 times. Always remember that a bright sun awaits behind the clouds. We are an ancient people with a long history of resilience. For millennia, we Sampa. Eaters have been the custodians of the expansive Tibetan plateau, known as the roof of the world. Throughout our history of more than 2 millennia, we have navigated through all sorts of ups and downs, always sure of our identity as a people with our distinct language, culture and religion, and the core values that define us. Today's dark period of communist Chinese occupation may seem endless, but in our long history, it is but a brief nightmare. As our Buddhist faith teaches us, nothing is immune to the law of impermanence. Some might think, given my age and communist China's position as a global power today, that time is not on our side. I disagree. Yes, the Dalai Lama institution plays today an important role in unifying Tibetans everywhere. But let us not forget that while the Dalai Lama institution is only 500 years old, Tibet's history is older by more than 1.5 millennia. So, I have no doubt that our struggle for freedom will go on, for it pertains to the fate of an ancient nation and its people. As an inherently unstable system, totalitarianism definitely does not have time on its side. Time is on the side of the people, Tibetans as well as Chinese, who aspire for freedom. What we need is patience, unflagging determination, unity, and courage, rooted in the clarity of our goal. Today, after more than 6 decades of being in exile, the issue of Tibet remains strong in the world's consciousness. This is thanks to our unflagging determination and steadfast commitment to our just cause for the freedom of a people. Saving Tibet is a noble work. It is the work of the Dharma, which, as Buddhists, we believe to be the true source of happiness for all beings. Therefore, regardless of the provocation and the understandable human urge to respond to violence with violence, I appeal to you never to give in to this impulse. See the humanity even in our oppressors, because ultimately it will be with their humanity that we come to some kind of settlement. But this does not mean that we should allow abuse and the violation of our human dignity to go unchallenged. In whatever ways we can, we must stand up against injustice. Nonviolence does not preclude taking a firm stand and expressing our opposition in a forceful way. Mahatma Gandhi has taught the world the enduring power of what a robust and effective nonviolent struggle means. Especially to my fellow Tibetans who are living in free countries, I say, never forget our brothers and sisters who are oppressed in our own homeland. They look to us as their hope in dark times and expect us to keep bright the flame of our aspiration for a free way of life. To the great nation of India and our Indian Dharma brothers and sisters, you have been my host and my home since 1959. I have spent more of my life in India than in my own homeland of Tibet. I will never forget the amazing and long generosity you have offered to me and my people in exile. The fact that India gave us a new home, a base, is what enabled us, more than anything else, to re-establish our civilization in exile and to keep the torch of justice for Tibet alight for so many decades. We Tibetans have always looked to India as the source and teacher of wisdom, knowledge, and spirituality in our Buddhist tradition that was received from you many centuries ago. Throughout our long religious and cultural history, India, Aryabhumi, the land of the noble ones, has been our guru, and we Tibetans the chela Student: I thank you for your unflagging support of me and my people, and I request of you to continue to extend the same as long as we need it. To Chinese brothers and sisters, I appeal to you to open your hearts to the ongoing plight of the people of Tibet. The Chinese and Tibetan peoples share a common spiritual heritage in Mahayana Buddhism and cherish compassion for all suffering beings. I assure you that through the long history of my struggle on behalf of the Tibetan people, I have never harbored enmity against the people of China. I have always urged Tibetans not to give in to hatred due to the injustices inflicted by a cruel government in the name of the Chinese people. I ask you to be vigilant against any attempts to promote racial hatred against the Tibetans through state propaganda aimed at splitting the long history of good feeling, neighborliness, and friendship between our peoples. I appeal to you to make efforts to understand that the Tibetan struggle for freedom is not only just, it is also not anti-Chinese. Help us find a peaceful, lasting solution to the issue of Tibet through dialogue in the spirit of understanding and accommodation. Over the years, many Chinese scholars and intellectuals have spoken out. I believe many Chinese who know the truth about Tibet, its culture and its people, will come out when they are able to express their true feelings without fear of reprisals. Protecting Tibet is a matter important also to the very heart of China itself. I want to share with you that for me, like for so many across the world, one sad thing is that the amazing economic liberalization of China was not matched with progress in respect for human rights and democratic freedom for your people. To the nations and peoples of the world, especially those who have stood in solidarity with the Tibetan people, your expressions of concern and support, as well as the attention of the international media on Tibet, continue to encourage us and give us comfort. I thank you and ask you not to forget Tibet at this critical and challenging time in our people's long history. Over the long course of my efforts to save Tibet and its people, quite early on, I came to recognize that the survival of Tibet as a civilization with its distinctive language and Buddhist tradition is a matter of great importance not only to us Tibetans. Of course, with our cultural heritage that emphasizes harmony with nature, if we Tibetans are empowered, the fragile ecology of the Tibetan plateau can also be safeguarded, especially against unrestrained exploitation. Beyond this, the protection of Tibet is also about the survival and flourishing of a culture that is rooted in compassion and has the potential to be of benefit to humanity. The Tibetan tradition represents today the only surviving custodian of the full spectrum of the rich heritage of the great Nalanda school of Indian Buddhism, from philosophy to logic and linguistics, and from psychology to diverse spiritual practices. At the heart of our tradition is the emphasis on the principle of the interdependence of all things, and also the understanding that compassion grounded in the recognition of shared humanity forms the basis of an ethical way of life leading to happiness for all. As our world becomes more interconnected, all human beings need to learn to rise above narrow self-interest for the sake of each other and for the sake of our fragile planet. In more than 5 decades of traveling around the world, a key message I have shared from my culture is the importance of embracing the more compassionate parts of human nature, and how doing so will enable us to promote peace and happiness, both at the individual as well as societal levels. One of my deeply held convictions is that if each one of us could embrace what I call the oneness of humanity, a visceral sense of our shared human condition that acknowledges the simple fact that just like me, everyone else wishes to be happy and does not want suffering, our world would be a better and kinder place for all. As social creatures, each one of us came from a mother's womb and survived thanks to someone else's care, especially our parents, in our most vulnerable period of infancy. This total dependence on another's care and the inborn appreciation of others' care that comes with it are what have imprinted in us the natural capacity to care for others, even for strangers. I sometimes describe this as the human quality of warm-heartedness. This is our basic nature. I truly believe that even as the world becomes ever more complex, any solutions we bring to address our challenges, both at the individual as well as at the societal levels, must take into account this basic nature of who we are. I deeply believe that Tibetan knowledge and our culture of compassion have the potential to offer a rich resource to promote inner peace and happiness for all. So the survival of Tibet and the Tibetan people is in the larger interest of humanity itself. Let me end this book by sharing the following verses from the 8th century Buddhist teacher Shantideva, whose writings have remained an enduring source of deep inspiration for me. The sages who have contemplated for many eons see this altruism alone to be of greatest benefit. Through it, immeasurable beings can obtain with ease the highest state of happiness. Those who wish to undo hundreds of miseries of existence, and those who seek to relieve creatures of their sorrows. Also those who long to enjoy many hundreds of joys. They must never abandon the altruistic awakening mind. May I be the protector to those without protector. May I be the guide to those traveling on the road. May I become a boat, a causeway and a bridge for those who long to reach the further shore. Just like the great elements such as earth, as well as like space, at all times, may I be a sustenance of many kinds for an immeasurable number of beings. Likewise, for beings whose expanse reaches to the furthermost edges of space, at all times and until they all attain nirvana, may I remain a source of sustenance for all. For as long as space endures, for as long as sentient beings remain, until then, may I too remain and dispel the miseries of the world.